Welcome back to the Money Hill, where we are legally required to discuss OpTic being the best team in Modern Warfare 2 right now, but I guess we can also touch on Ultra falling off the face of the earth, Legion securing a nice bounce-back win, and Røkkr getting absolutely exposed after their LAN scam. I am, of course, your host, Scoot, with Nikita for the first time in a while.
I'm back.
I've, of course, dearly missed you.
I know. I always love it when we get a chance to talk.
It's been too long.
It's always great.
Oh yeah, we just spent about 30 minutes before this podcast chatting. But I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the CDL. Chris, of course, out this week. Had a great week at Augusta. If you guys are not following golf or the Masters or anything, that's what was going on there. He's spending his time around grass, which I don't agree with, but that's fine. You know,
Controversial.
Yeah, definitely controversial for coming from two gamers.
Big news for him also. Over the weekend, he announced that he managed to get to Diamond on Wild Rift.
Wow.
Is,
I mean, that's
legit little achievement for him there. So
he still absolutely doesn't know how to use a mouse and keyboard.
He's riding that high. No. I mean, he plays on his phone, but you gotta give him something somewhere.
Listen, big story this week. Touched on it already. OpTic Schlem on New York Subliners to start the week off, and then they absolutely close it out with a win over LA Thieves. I think the big story of this team right now, and yes, they lost control 3-0 to LA Thieves. I think they lost S&D to New York Subliners, so we've seen a little bit of regression in S&D. They've never been like the most stable control team this year, but they are so dominant in hardpoint, it is terrifying. Like, if you're going up against them, map 1, you're already looking at being down 1-0, almost off rip in every single series. I think the other storyline here is the impact that Ghosty's had on the team in unlocking Hook and Shotzzy. They look incredible across the board. Dashy doesn't look, as crazy statistically as he did at the beginning of the season. Obviously, he's still lighting it up. Ghosty's not putting up the numbers that are going to draw eyes, but he is doing a lot more for this team, similar to what Hicksy did for Ultra last major. But that's kind of where I stand on this. I mean, what a week for OpTic. Like, you can't say they're not the best team in the game right now.
It's huge. I think it's come out. They've kind of found their groove a little bit, it seems like, with Ghosty. I am a little bit worried about Dashy's dip in performance. Not massively, but coming off of what was an incredible year last year. Then there was a bit of drama, on, off, all of that. It's not great that he hasn't gone back into the form that I think we know he can achieve.
But I think he always shows up at the major. I mean, he still had a 1.06 against New York.
For sure.
And he didn't have a great KD against LA Thieves, but that was all the subs that series. I think Hook had a 10 in the S&D, which is insane. I relate this a lot to Atlanta FaZe in their dominant era during Cold War, which is where you saw RCDs not really post anything over a 1.0 KD, because having that job when your submachine guns are doing so much and you've got Ghosty soaking hill time, what are you going to do? Like, it gets boring at a certain point.
And I think that's a great thing. It's like, I'm looking at some of the stats here. Like, overall record here is 33 wins and 19 losses for hardpoint. That is just like a great stat to have when you're looking at it. And especially, you mentioned the control. Yeah, they're actually negative there. It's 13 wins, 19 losses. So they're definitely a skewing in one way. But I don't care. If you're going to lose one map, I'd rather it be weaker on something. It'd be the mode that only shows up once. Whereas S&D and obviously hardpoint are so crucial. So if you're winning 4 out of 5, or you're guaranteeing 2 out of 5 matches, puts you in such a strong position moving forward. Question there is, do you think a lot of it is linked to the map pool? Because Mercado and Hotel, they have a 10-4 and a 10-3 record.
Are you talking about S&D or hardpoint currently?
Hardpoint.
Yeah, they're very good at Hotel, but you have to ban something.
But that's my point.
Like, you can only ban one thing, and they're gonna play one of the two.
Can they be banned out? Is it a map? Do you think their strength is hardpoint or map specific?
Well, here's the problem, actually. The thing you're not seeing is on Fortress Hardpoint, they are absolutely running teams.
Yeah.
Like, they 100-point club 3 teams in a row. So now teams have to auto-ban Fortress Hardpoint. They are also really good at Mercado. Like,
yes, they are. Yeah.
And then they're also really good at Hotel.
Yeah.
So now you're kind of screwed when you get
the only
down
map
to it.
they're not good at is Embassy. They're 2-7 on hardpoint aBeZy. That's the only one. Every other one, they have a 50% or more win rate ratio.
And I honestly, I don't even want to see him play aBeZy. I'm sure they're just banning it every single time.
Why wouldn't?
And if you consider Fortress and aBeZy banned by both sides, then you end up with Hotel and Mercado pretty much every single series. And that's money for them. You're sitting in the perfect position.
The best thing is that Hotel is their best control record. It's 7-8. So they don't actually, like, it's a coin flip one. They win it great. If not, they don't mind. And they're so dominant on hardpoint. It's just so great. And then also, they're pretty good at it with S&D. So this is just an all-around team that is not offering you a lot of avenues. And I think, map bans and picks and bans and getting prep beforehand sometimes gets very overlooked. And we've seen some teams really suffer from not having the support stuff to do the analysis and kind of the strategizing before they face off a match. And we've seen teams take a big step up when they have hired that coaching staff to help them along the way. And I think OpTic, you need the coaching staff before you go into a match against them, because you can't just rely on the players to go with the flow and figure it out.
Yeah, well, you're going to run into a brick wall of pretty much 4 guys that are shooting some of the straightest in the league right now if you don't have that preparation on hand. Now, the other interesting thing here, and I think this is kind of the final point coming off OpTic, because there's other things to talk about this week, and then I kind of want to get into the picks pretty quickly. Yeah. The one thing I haven't seen, and a lot of 3-1 wins is a standout for me, because we used to see OpTic throw series in the middle of them, and I haven't seen this team lose their grip yet. Like, you would see them lose map 4 hardpoint, even when they were a really good hardpoint team, a lot in the past.
Yeah.
And now it just doesn't seem to be the case. Like, this team is locked in. Ghosty's their IGL. Shotzzy doesn't have to worry about calling anymore. And now they're just flowing. And, like, it's pretty much free on the map. And to see them not choke series is a big thing as an OpTic supporter. Myself, I've watched a lot of OpTic matches. But even just from the perspective of anybody watching their matches, this is, like, insane for them. Everybody knows that OpTic used to choke a lot. That being said, let's flip the coin a little bit. Team that just won a major and has now decided that they've forgotten how to play the game. Toronto Ultra got absolutely smoked by FaZe this week. There's only one positive KD on that team. It's Scrap at a 1.3, which almost feels like Cellium when he drops a 1.3 and FaZe lose. You can pretty much draw the comparison there. But Cellium, of course, has a 1.4 in the win, so that's interesting enough. I think that winning as quickly as they did was bad for them. And that is going to be my take for the rest of the year. It gave the submachine guns a little bit too much of an ego. And I think Kleenex was playing ridiculously well throughout the entire major, throughout the qualifier. A lot of that had to do with Hixie and his ability to play his life, secure spawns, secure good map position. Now I think they're challenging too much and losing a lot of gunfights and getting exposed. And you can see it, like a 0.68 against FaZe and a 0.9. Obviously, Inside also didn't have a good series, but I think it comes down to subs. Like, that's really the difference here, and that's really all I have to say. Like, Ultra, I said it when they won. This is going to be their highest placing all year.
You nailed the prediction. You nailed the predictions from the start. At the start of the year, you said, I think they'll win 1, but they're not going to be a threat. I kind of agree with you. I don't know I'm ready to write them off just yet.
I'm so ready to write them off.
You're so excited. I know. I think you can come and join our Discord if you want to banter with us, but every time they lose, I celebrate a little. BNB, though, not so good with the banter coming back. The thing about veterans, they played through so many different metas, different guns, different games, different speeds. It's very easy for a rookie to come in, have a good high, hit some stride, get too cocky, and fall apart. And that's the difference, is that a veteran knows longevity is the name of the game. Like, what matters is, like, how many rings, how many champs have you won, how many majors have you won, and how do we stretch this out? It doesn't matter if you're great in a blip of time. Can these rookies learn that and become actual veterans, or are they going to be a one and done and that's going to be it?
I mean, the moral of the story here is that Scrap knows that. Like, he's posting numbers that he should every single series. We've only seen him have a few down series. They mostly come against very, very good ARs, which is obviously a challenge in and of itself, but he also performs well against them.
Yeah.
Hixie, it looks shaky. I mean, I've seen him take gunfights that I wouldn't see him take prior. And I think, like, part of that was coming to the league, being humble as a challengers player, knowing your role, and now you want a major, you're going to go challenge everything.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. These guys will gun you. Like, they'll gun you.
Yeah.
That's the problem here. But enough about Ultra. We'll see how they perform this week. They have a huge match. Like, I think it goes without saying that this is going to be the best match of the year, in my opinion, at least in terms of shit talk. But, of course, we're speaking about Paris Legion, Las Vegas Legion. Sorry, I've not even gotten used to it this far into the season.
I know. You keep making that mistake.
Moral of the story here, they lose to London Royal Ravens. Pretty bad match for them. That's going to happen with a new roster, but they bounce back and get the win against LAG. Still a little bit shaky. It boils down to if they place well at this major, and they have a chance to secure upper bracket first match this week. If they place well, they're in a good spot to make champs, especially headed into Major 5 where they can only get better during qualifiers, have more LAN experience as a team, and then go into champs. Like, this team is in a slightly dangerous position if they are to get very good. Major means a lot for them.
They are 20 points behind Røkkr. They have 110 CDL points. Rocker's 130, and then Surge is 20 ahead of that with 150, and Breach 10 ahead. So a good placing here, they suddenly knock out. They can jump 1 or 2 spots. I think they're finding their stride.
They're figuring out how to play as a team. I'm going to say it right now. I think Paris Legion plays top 4 at champs.
Okay. At champs.
At champs. I'm predicting them to make it already. That goes without saying.
Well, we're obviously predicting that Ultra won't.
Okay, well,
yeah. So that opens up a spot. So I'm telling you,
I don't know about that. We'll see. I don't think they do though. You touched on LA Thieves. I think we're set up for a great end of the year. And Modern Warfare 2's only been good for content across the board because teams are just so up and down this entire year. You made a good point about LA Thieves, and I think like the big story there, of course, is Kenny. Like, it's always going to be the story of his career. He has the chance to be the lights-out player that wins Champs MVP, wins Major 4 MVP last year. He can really be a difference maker for LA Thieves, and to see him playing well is terrifying, especially when it's online. Because you only get to LAN, and he gets better. The whole team gets better. We already know that story with LA. I think they're hitting stride again, which is a huge problem as an OpTic fan headed into these like LAN tournaments down the stretch. But I think we'll see LA Thieves win something down here, if not the whole damn thing again. Which, I mean,
look, you've been beating the same drum as I have. Last year we saw the same thing. They had a roster. They looked average, kind of ups and downs across the whole season until Major 3, Major 4, and then suddenly they found their stride and they became deadly and became champs. I don't think you can overlook the fact that might happen again this split. They've gotten the monkey off of their back in terms of winning a champs for some of their players, like Octane, and that's a big thing. It's a massive confidence booster, just knowing, hey, I am a winner and I can win. You can never overlook an org, I think, that has that sort of mentality, and a team with players like that. And 100%, when you see Kenny finding his stride, and if that unlocks everyone else and suddenly they're closing out matches that previously they hadn't, you can't pretend like that's not a deadly combination.
No, I mean, you can't also... It's impossible for teams to replicate the vibes that this team is able to create. Even when they're not playing well, they're still having fun, and that only contributes to better things happening when they're playing well.
Yep.
Like, it's tough to beat them, and I think it's only going to get tougher as we head to LAN down the stretch. Final point here. Just want to make quick note of it, but Rokkr did get absolutely exposed by New York Subliners after the little LAN situation that they had in Wisconsin. No surprises there. That was predicted. That was built into the system. We already knew that was going to happen. Now, the big story this week, as we head into week 3, the first match of the weekend, which is an absolute sham, if you ask me. This should be last match on Sunday. Toronto Ultra versus Las Vegas Legion. To kick it off, this is the team that dropped Standy, won a chip. Standy was preying on their downfall on Twitter to a hilarious extent right before they won. And then the whole documentary comes out. Standy and Scrappy are firing at each other on Twitter. Now you have a chance for Las Vegas Legion to lock in upper bracket against the team that dropped him. And Toronto Ultra is also fighting for that upper bracket spot at 1 and 2.
It writes itself. It writes itself, man.
It does. I mean, the drama writes itself all the time. This is a huge match when you really consider the stakes, especially for Legion who are trying to make champs. Listen, lock of the week this week. Las Vegas Legion money line at 3.75. You have to hit that all day. Like, you have to think that momentum is just there.
I love that. And I know I don't want to get into too much like my odds, your odds, but I actually have it at 4.1.
Oh my lord. That's so juicy.
Which is a significant boost. That is so juicy.
You know who's standing right behind him too? This is the king of trash talk himself, Clayster. I mean, one of the original trash talk videos from competitive Call of Duty is also in that match.
I know.
Temp also in that match. Like, this is insanity waiting to happen. I am so excited for these two teams to play. I'm taking Legion all day. The money is just there. Ultra haven't performed this stage either. So
I had a big question for you because one of my likes, which I might upgrade to a love depending on what you say. What do you think about plus 1.5 at 2.27?
Oh, I mean, I think that's
free money.
That's a lock.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Free.
Okay, because to me, I was like, I don't see this not going to 5.
No, give me that all day.
Yeah.
It has to go to 5. It's literally written into the script.
Yeah.
Or it's either going 5 or Legion are 3-0ing them and throwing hands on Twitter, which would be hilarious. Any outcome here is funny, first of all. And it's going to make for some great Twitter action. So be active on the TL when that match drops on Friday. Hey, listen, you threw a like out there. I'll throw one out as well. Surge Moneyline versus FaZe. I actually do not hate. 2.75 odds. You can always bet on a little Predsiv pop-off, especially at those odds. I think FaZe are also capable of losing matches to teams that are good at hardpoint. That's just a little teaser. It's nothing major. Like, I'm not going deep on that one. There's no logic there.
I'll give you my love is Texas OpTic Boston Breach minus 1.5 for OpTic at 2.03. I don't
hate that.
I don't believe in the Boston Breach.
I will say, listen, Breach did make a risky decision bringing Kremp up in place of Vivid.
Yeah.
But he has looked good. I mean, like, this team looks good since
but
they brought
OpTic
in their
looks
rookies.
better.
They do look better. I mean, that goes without saying.
And so I think a 3-1 is very viable. 2.03.
They don't just look better. They're the best team in the game right now. They're the best team in the game right now. It goes without saying. I love saying it, too. I have to keep saying it. I'll take the other side of this coin a little bit.
Oh, really?
Not in that same match,
okay,
but I'm taking Breach money line over New York Subliners at 2.2 odds. I think those are great odds. That's my love for this week. And just to throw out something I don't hate, it's interesting because they only beat Legion last week. London Royal Ravens over New York Subliners at 4.3 I don't think is terrible. I think New York are bound to fail at some point this week, and you get really good odds on them losing. So
Okay.
I think the book's a little overvalued on that end, but that's just my perspective. I don't love New York the way they're looking.
The team I don't love is the Røkkr, and I think Thieves are finding the groove, so I actually want to take Thieves minus 2.5 at a 3.39.
Yeah, it might be a lock, honestly. It's a ridiculous thing to say for a minus 2.5 in Modern Warfare 2 to be a lock because S&D could be one team nade away from an insane finish.
The thing is, I actually want to match that as well with a FaZe minus 2.5 over Røkkr as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That one's it's a 3.1. I'm not parlaying them, but if one of them hits, you're in money. If neither of them hit, you lose a lot. So something there's a caveat there. But if you're a little bit more risk averse, you can take the minus 1.5 of FaZe at 1.64, which I think are really good odds. And I don't know, this Røkkr team just keeps falling apart. I didn't
realize how difficult of a week they actually have.
Yeah, they have a really rough one.
It's for a guy they just brought up too in Fame to go up against Octane, followed by Cellium
and put it this
Slasher.
Way. This is a big thing. This last weekend, they lost 3-1 to Subliners. Subliners are not looking that great.
No.
And so I would say Thieves and FaZe look way better than them. Main point being is just, I think they're a bad team, and I think they're going to struggle to beat top 4.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
And the fact that they're getting beaten 3-1 by a Subliners team makes me pretty confident in the minus 2.5, minus 1.5. The odds are juiced for the minus 2.5. If you're a bit more risk averse, I think the minus 1.5 works out. I've only got one other one.
Go ahead. I'm all ears. I like those picks, though.
Thank you. Vegas Legion over Mutineers 1.6.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like a lock.
I just feel like
Mutineers get a little scrappy here and there.
Yeah.
They get interesting. They did 3-2 loss to FaZe is a little odd. Didn't expect that.
No.
But do I think they're legitimately good? No.
No.
They tend to take like a map here and there. And then they got 3-0'd by Ultra. It's like
they're scrappy. They might take it. That's why I don't want to take a minus anything. I'm not fully sure where the Vegas Legion are sitting in the power dynamics, but these are matches they have to win if they want upper bracket.
that is true, but they could already have upper bracket after they beat Ultra. But I don't think they lay off the gas. They need the points. That's the other thing you're forgetting.
They need the points big time.
They need the points. Like the points are very, very important coming down the stretch.
I also think mentally, if they come off a high, can you imagine how good they're feeling?
Dude, I mean, Legion's going to get theirs. That's what people don't understand about this year. This is the year that Legion get one. Something crazy is going to happen. And I think the Standy pickup to drop him and not have a buyout, insanely good for Legion. They continue to be the economic kings of the CDL. People sleep on them.
Someone needs to do a money ball of esports.
They're moneyballing.
They're
right
moneyballing.
now. They're moneyballing.
Okay.
Yeah, they took the guy that was doubted, kicked out of the door by his team.
Yeah.
Everyone said he's got attitude issues. They said, no, come here, baby. Come join us. We're going to champs together. But it would be a crazy run to see. It's not outside of Call of Duty's realm of possibility by any means. We've seen crazier things happen. We saw LAG win a major last year. Insane.
Yep.
But if you want to hear all the takes and more, or join the conversation, you can join our Discord, which will be down in the description below, or follow us on Twitter at Best3Network. If you enjoyed what you heard, please hit the like button down below or the sub button if you're a long-time viewer at this point. And I think that's about all I have to say this week. Nikki, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. I've missed your beautiful European face. But yeah, peace out, everybody.
Bye, everyone.